See the weight you carry, it's written in your eyes, the kind of ache that takes up every corner of your mind. You're sitting in the silence, drowning in the doubt. I've been sitting there before, I know there's a way out. The world feels like it's caving in. Those dark thoughts, don't let them win. Just stay. Just stay. It's almost more than you can take. Please just stay. I swear the light will find you someday, and you'll be glad you stayed. So just stay.
Thank you, everybody, for being here with us again at the Just Day podcast. We are recording our 15th episode, which is crazy. That's one a week. We've been doing this for 4 months, and that to me feels very surreal.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
4 months?
Yeah.
Dang.
And I feel blessed to have the opportunity to do this, and I also feel like by having the inspiration to do this, it has helped me more than it's helped our listeners. And so it's been good on more level than one, even if it just keeps me busy.
Yeah.
Like the 2-3 hours it takes me to edit the episode is like a meditative thing for me. I actually like it.
You've said that a lot. Like, I'm pretty sure you compared it to doing lashes or something, or doing foils at work. It's repetitive, it's monotonous, like you just kind of do it. But yeah, I'm feeling the same way. To be honest, saying 15 episodes and then saying 4 months, I'm like, holy crap, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, or a lot of podcasts, don't make it this far.
No.
So I'm proud of us because it's taken a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice. So I'm really grateful that we've come this far in it.
Yeah. I'm also really grateful for like our listeners. Our listeners are kind of what keeps me going personally. I love the feedback. I love even when people come up to me throughout my day and it's like, I love this week's episode. It's special. Or even when people reach out and like, I want to be on your podcast. That's special to me too. Mm-hmm. That they want to be a part of this message is huge.
Yeah. There have been people that have said they want to be on the podcast, or like, they're interested in, or that we've reached out to, and then they say their comeback is like, I would be so honored. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's crazy, because I would be so honored if you were on our podcast. So yeah. I just think it's a really great thing that we've created. And I think from the beginning that I wanted to create a space. I know you felt the same way, like that felt safe and that felt like others could feel like they weren't alone. And I think that was one of the main things that I wanted to accomplish when we did this, was to create a community that kind of felt like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I feel like we're heading towards that direction. I feel like the comments that we get, the people that message us, it really creates this sense of togetherness and unity in this cause, and it's really cool.
Yeah,
to be a part of.
It is. It is. And it kind of helps me to know that I'm not alone in the struggle. Ever since Elia passed, I feel like this last year I've encountered more people going through the hardest season of their life. And it's almost weird to me the kind of connection I have with them in the space that they're struggling in. I have this compassion and understanding for how hard life can be. And I also feel like because I have gone through these hard things and it's very public knowledge that people have been a lot more open. So I don't know if more people are struggling right now or if people are just choosing to be open with me because I've been open. People are struggling right now, and it's not just with mental health, it's with everything. Grief, loss, illness.
It's hard.
It is hard.
We were just having this conversation.
Yeah. I was going through some things before we started recording, and I think Kenzie and I sat here and talked for over an hour before we started recording, and we try to be as open and vulnerable as possible, but not at the cost of anybody else's feelings.
Yeah.
So, again, just like we've said before, you never know what people are going through. You know what we're going through, but you don't know the whole story, and I wouldn't want to tell anybody else's story but my own. So I'm really grateful for good friends like Kenzie that I can talk to and know that this is a safe space, and I never feel judged, and I know Kenzie has my back. And so I really appreciate that for her. Sometimes I feel bad because my life has been so messy that I don't want her getting in, like, I don't know, sometimes when my life is heavy, I don't want to push any of that heavy on anybody else. And so then I
get that.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like I feel contagious.
Mm. I actually really understand that feeling, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I hope you know. I know you know this, but just to reiterate, I'm not the kind of friend that's just gonna be here for a sec and then peace out when things get too hard or too messy, because my own life is messy. And I remember when I first started working for you and we started to become friends, I was, even back then I would struggle with my mental health, and I remember that you always were a shoulder to cry on or someone to talk to about that, and that's never changed. And so, yeah, you know that I always have your back, and I know that you have mine. Yeah, nothing's gonna change that, but I'm just really grateful for, I don't know, just like this space, because even when the camera isn't on and we aren't recording, like, it's the same feeling of trust and openness, I guess. It's a relationship that I'm really grateful for, Brandy, so.
Oh. Well, thank you.
Okay. I just started a book today. It's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, or something like that. I'm only a couple chapters in, but it started talking about how we all know things that are going to be good for us. It's just a matter of whether or not we can put those things into action. And so it's like, this book is going to tell you all about all these great things that you probably already know, mm-hmm. but whether or not you put them into action is going to, make the difference, right? And so I'm trying to take it seriously, because to stop worrying is going to change my life if that actually happens, right? But the first concept was, it basically talks about the ship and how a ship, like those heavy duty cargo ships that are moving things across the ocean, that it has these several compartments, and it will, at the push of a button, it'll just completely shut off different parts of the ship, and that it's like 100% sealed. Nothing will penetrate those, like, seals, I guess. And it talks about how there's a man that kind of likened that into our brains, our lives, is that we need to live every day like it's our only day and completely seal off our thoughts from yesterday or what happened yesterday or what we went through, whatever, completely seal that off, as well as completely sealing off the future. And I think that's like, consistent with when we have depressive thoughts, it tends to reflect in the past, and then same with anxiety in the future. But he just talked about a lot of successful people that a concept that they live by is just living for those 24 hours and making it through those 24 hours. He talked about a woman who was really depressed after her husband had passed away, and she was struggling, and she had to start working and just was feeling really lonely and sad, and she drove a lot for her job, and so she would spend a lot of time alone, and it just made her, I guess, realize how alone she was. And so she began to get really ill all the time and mentally was struggling a lot. And she ended up reading a quote that changed her life. And it was along the lines of living each day as if it's the only day. And it's a really simple concept. But when we think about only having 24 hours in a day and how we can try and live that to the fullest, then it can change things. And I was kind of like thinking about it, and I mean, that's a really like easy concept to grasp. It's a lot harder, at least for me. I'm like, that's a lot easier said than done. I'm a big thinker, and I think I overthink things a lot, and so I'm constantly thinking about, okay, what do I have going on and what's coming up? What should I be having anxiety over? Or like, what should I have done better in the past, And if I could only just reflect on what's going on in the present and just completely seal off those things that really, I mean, when it comes down to it, it doesn't really matter what's going to happen or what happened. Like, I think that my life could that could really transform things, you know?
Simplify.
Yeah. And so today I've just been thinking about that a lot. And even though I've had a lot of days where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get through today, I really think that sometimes even taking it hour by hour, minute by minute, as difficult as that is, obviously there's something to it. If really successful people make that a priority in their lives, I think that it could change mine. So anyway, what I was going to say is I really think that I'm going to try that this week. It's something that I'm going to work on. Is trying not to reflect on the past or the future, but focusing on today, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that concept it's something that I'm realizing about myself that's helping me in my grief too. Really? Not just worrying, but I don't know if I told you. I think I did. Last Wednesday, my son's headstone came and they installed it. They're supposed to send you a picture and tell you that it's arrived, and we never got that. And so I just showed up and was surprised. And it's beautiful. It's perfect. I'm glad we waited so long. I wanted to make sure we got it right. And so I took my family back the next night, and it was really special. But it was also the last thing. Everything else was done. That was the final piece. That was the final purchase I made for my son. That's the last of it. And so Wednesday and Thursday I was doing okay. And then Friday I just told my son, we're going to hang out. And so to hang out and to connect with him, I have to try really hard to do things that interest him. I love pickleball, and most of the time I'm like, hey, let's go play pickleball. And my whole family's like, ugh, no. But we went and played pickleball, and then we went to lunch, and then we went rock climbing. And the trick is, it can't just be me. There has to be like multiple people around. But it was a really special day, and it was so fun-filled, and it was a good day. And I felt empowered, like I didn't know I could rock climb. I can't, but I made it to the top a couple times. And there was a really special moment when I was rock climbing. So Jada was my belay, and I was up, and I was probably 10 feet from the top. And I was like, pull me down. And she was like, Mom, you can do it. Get up there. She goes, Mom, don't give up. You're so close. You can do it. And literally her saying that to me just gave me the strength to keep going. And it was really special that she was so encouraging and that it was my child doing this for me, right? And so we had this big fun day. We went out to dinner with friends that night. And then Saturday, I woke up. And Saturday was a hard day. And it was like everything hit me at once. And I felt myself living in the past a lot. And just memories. And it was like a funk I could not pull myself out of. And it's like grief hits you like that. And what I wanted to do was just lay in bed all day. And the tears just came no matter what I did. When I'm struggling, I like doomsday scroll on my phone for hours to shut my mind off. I even did the podcast. I did everything to distract myself but not confront it. And it was just a really hard day. And then finally at 6 o'clock, I went to my son and I was like, son, I'm going to go play pickleball. Do you want to come? And he said yes again. But I also think he knew I was having a hard day. And anyways, long story short, we were going to go to the facility, and I reached out to a friend, and I was like, hey, we're going to go play pickleball if you guys want to come. And she's like, oh, just come to our house. We ended up playing at her next door neighbor's house that are like acquaintances to ours. I've met them twice. And we just had the best time. And then we sat down once it got too dark to play pickleball, and we got into the deepest conversation. And these two strangers and these two good friends and a couple kids and we just sat there and we were all crying and bearing our souls to another. And again, human connection. And it was almost like that is what I needed. And I didn't go into search for it. I was trying to connect with myself, but then in the process I connected with new people. And it was beautiful. And I was just living in that moment and having this deep conversation, and this complete stranger was telling me about some of the hardest times of his life, and his wife, it was beautiful to watch because his wife would cry when he would cry. The amount of human connection among these people was amazing, and it almost allowed me space to just have that huge release of just getting it out. And these people had no idea that I had been in bed all day crying. And they just they didn't need to.
Yeah.
And so it was cool, but the compartmentalization of that was I was living in the past and I was really, really struggling, past and present, I would say. And then I started looking more at the present and saying, what do I need right now? And I needed to move my body. I needed connection, so I invited my son. I needed to find joy in that moment. And I have found that if I can do something that I love to do, fishing, rock climbing, floating the river, pickleball, if I can pull myself out of the struggle and out of my tears in that very moment to force myself to find joy, it helps me so much. Do I want to go play pickleball? No. But do I know that I'll enjoy it? Yeah. And so I gave myself what I needed, and it pulled me out. And it was so good.
That's amazing. I feel like that's some serious progress.
Yeah.
You should be proud of yourself. Because that's honestly coping skills right there. Yeah, I think that's really amazing.
Yeah, and it was also special because each one of my family members showed up throughout the day to stop and have connection with me. Mm-hmm. And my daughter, she laid down in bed with me, and my daughter's 17, almost 18. I feel bad when they see me struggle because if they're having a good day, I don't want to put that on them, right? Mm-hmm. But I was laying in bed watching sad videos. And I was crying, and I just had tears running down my face. And she came and laid in bed with me on the other side and looked at me, and I put my phone down, and she was just talking about her day. And then all of a sudden we both put our phones down and we stopped talking, and we laid in bed and we stared into each other's eyes. And we didn't say anything, and it wasn't weird, but it was like through her eyes, I could feel the understanding of pain, and that she understood my pain and where it was coming from. And I saw her soul, and it was so cool to just sit in silence and look into each other's eyes. And it was accidental. It wasn't like, let me look into your eyes. It just
happened.
Yeah. It was so, I think that was special.
That's really amazing. So back when I did this outpatient program, they had this one lesson that was on human connection and loneliness. And it's funny that we always come back to this.
I know.
But they played this video that was trying to make the point of how important human connection is. And it was like these people doing an experiment where they went to, it was definitely like, it had to have been in Europe or somewhere, because it was this cute little quaint town square, and they were just taking random people off the street and pairing them up, and the goal was to not say a word, but just to sit there for a certain amount of time and stare into each other's eyes. And so these were people that didn't know each other, had never met, didn't know anything, but were just completely staring into each other's eyes for, 5 minutes. And the whole video is kind of, showing the progression of what happens. And some people are kind of uncomfy, and they kind of start giggling and laughing, and they're squirming a little bit because they feel uncomfortable. But then it's like they break through this barrier, and then people started getting emotional, and others were crying, and then some people were sobbing. And so then they just start hugging, and they're crying. And I remember watching that and thinking it was so impactful because they didn't have to say a word. And it was just through that eye contact that they could see kind of each other's souls. They were connecting in that way. Mm-hmm. And then it was like all of a sudden this just surge of emotion. And I don't know, it's something that I would encourage you guys to look it up or go find it on YouTube, because it was so impactful for me at the time when I first saw it. And it just shows how you don't even, complete strangers have these big responses to human connection. And I think that comes from a place of, we've all experienced loneliness before, and we all know what it feels like to feel lonely. And maybe you make up in your head that you are unlovable. Mm-hmm. But connecting in that way with another human, I think is just a really remarkable gift that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. What is it they say about eyes being the doorway to, what is it?
Something about the doorway to
the soul?
The soul.
Is it that?
I think so.
I wonder if that's why. I've done that exercise before with other people, and I do feel like there's a connection. There's almost like you see more than surface just through people's eyes. We'll have to make that part of our curriculum.
Seriously.
That's a really cool activity. It was a neat experience and completely accidental. And I feel like when I'm struggling, I get these nudges. Mm-hmm. And it's helping me find the strength to do things that help me feel better. And it's also I'm not alone. And then there's these little reminders letting me know I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so even though I'm struggling, and even though, I don't know, I just feel these nudges. And I don't know if it's Eli trying to help me through. I don't know what it is, but I can feel some love coming from somewhere that's helping me get through the pain. We kind of have an exciting weekend. We leave for Boise tomorrow. And the high school baseball coach has been special to my family. He's only been here for 2 years, but he was amazing with Elia, and he was one of the people that took his mental health the most seriously. And it was a while after Elijah passed, but, baseball season came and it was hard for the boys and for the coaches, and it's hard for everybody. And a few of the boys came up and said, I want to wear Elijah's number. And I want to wear number 13. And the coach said no to all of them, because he said the next kid to wear this number will be Isaiah, his little brother. And so every time they got new jerseys, whether it be practice jerseys or summer jerseys or anything, he showed up with a jersey for us. A number 13 jersey, just letting us know that he was still being thought of. And this weekend they need more players. And Isaiah's going to go play with the high school team this weekend. And he's going to be wearing the number 13 jersey. Wow. And I'm thinking this might be hard for some of the boys playing to see the number 13. And something's happening to Isaiah. He's changing in the last year, and he looks so much like Elijah. Like, it kind of freaks me out sometimes. Out of the corner of my eye, I came home from work the other day, and my heart skipped a beat because I saw him out the window, and it looked so much like him. And it just, a year ago, he didn't look anything like him. Like, his hair went curly. It was stick straight a year ago. For those that don't know what my son Elijah looked like, he has this beautiful, thick, dark, curly hair. And he used to say, curls get girls. And so now my son Isaiah, his hair's curly. He's starting to get taller, get bigger. And he moves when he plays baseball. He moves like Elijah. So I'm also very aware that seeing him on the field might be hard for some of Elijah's teammates, but it's also going to be special, and it's going to be a good opportunity for Isaiah. Yeah, it'll be, all these things are bittersweet, but it'll be a good trip for him. And we get to connect. We're going to be on a trip together all weekend, and baseball trips are my favorite to connect with my boys. So, yeah.
It's amazing. I know what you mean about when you sent me a picture last week, and it was of Isaiah sitting on the bench. And I seriously, it didn't register, and I think it actually popped up on my Apple Watch when you first sent it. And so I looked, and just briefly, I thought you had sent an old picture of Elijah. And I can imagine that that's a really beautiful thing to see him in Isaiah, but also really hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I had, on the way to pickleball on Saturday, I had this interesting conversation. And again, I sometimes get worried about being vulnerable, because if my kids are having an okay time, they're not struggling at that moment, I don't want to bring up my struggles. Mm-hmm. But if I don't bring up my struggles, then how are they supposed to know that it's okay to bring up their struggles?
Yeah.
And something happened. He was talking about his sunglasses, and Isaiah wears these sunglasses that Elijah bought himself some Oakleys, and he took care of them, and it's the one thing of Elijah's that Isaiah will wear. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, he said something about sunglasses, and I was driving, and I had a PTSD episode where the sunglasses triggered a traumatic memory for me.
Yeah.
And I blanked out. And when I came out of it, Isaiah was like, Mom. And I was like, oh, sorry, what? And he's like, you're not even listening to me. You're not even listening to what I'm saying. And I had to tell him, I was like, son, I've been diagnosed with PTSD, And sometimes when I blank out, it's because something triggers a memory and it's traumatic and I'm reliving it in that moment and I'm having a hard time pulling myself out of it. And he was like, Mom, I have PTSD too. And he shared an experience with me. And it was the first time in a long time that he's been vulnerable with me. And it was like, again, a connection of, we were able to share that and discuss it and then go and have fun and play pickleball. But it was that little bit of, okay, we're facing it. But I also had to let him know, I'm not ignoring you. I don't even know if it's an episode, I don't know. I have them frequently. And I'll just blank out. Somebody will say a word and it triggers a memory and I just completely blank out.
Well, I mean, I think it's really, like, you sharing that experience with him, or you being so vulnerable with him, obviously that opened the door for him to be vulnerable with you. So I think that's really great. I don't know, it's crazy how, I can't imagine how aware your kids become once they get older. Because, I mean, I just have a 5-year-old, so I know it's not that old. But she's like so aware, and it really scares me sometimes. Ever since our episode with Perry, I made the comment that I always like preach that, therapy's so important and we need to be open about it and all these things, but I never like actually talk about it with my 5-year-old and like explain what it is. And so I've been making a point to tell her, I have this friend, her name is Susan, and I go and see her a couple times a week and we talk and she helps me with things that I have a hard time with and, try to explain on her level, right? And to be honest, I kind of just assumed that she just didn't get it. And today she was like, when I was leaving to come here, granted, I'm with her all day, every day. And she says, why do you have to leave? And I'm like, I've been with you all day. What do you mean? I just don't want you to go. You always leave me. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm literally with you all the time. And she's like, well, why do you have to go? And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to record. I'm going with Brandy. And she's like, okay, but you also go and talk with Susan. And I was like, I do go and talk with Susan. You're right. I go and talk with Brandy, and then I go and talk with Susan. And she was like, okay, well, I guess if you need to talk, then that's okay. I'm like, yeah, I do, and it's really good for me. And she had said, yeah, sometimes, if you don't get adult time, you go crazy. I said, yeah, I do. And so I've just kind of been like picking up on the things that she remembers. And so, it really just makes me like ponder on how important that is to just be honest and vulnerable with your kids. And yeah, I think that there are certain things that maybe you can keep private, but I think you're such a good example to me of how to be vulnerable with your children and I guess create that space for them, because like I want to have a relationship with my kids like that. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's so important. Today, Lennon was, she likes to record videos mm-hmm. of herself and talk to the camera and stuff.
She's a vlogger?
Yes. And she'll say, hey, can I record a video of me doing a craft? I'm like, sure. If it keeps you entertained, yeah. And she was coloring, she's been like on this painting rocks kick. And we have these little paint markers she'll paint rocks with and things, and she'll find ideas on Pinterest and then try and copy mm-hmm. them. And that's something that we like really bond over together. And so she's creating this, she found it was a broken rock. It like kind of, it looked like it had been broken in half. And she's coloring it and wanted to make it look like an M&M. Someone had taken a bite out of an M&M or something. And so she's coloring it and showing the camera. And then she says something like, you might see that this rock is broken, but broken doesn't mean it's bad, because when something is broken, you can make it you can make it better or something like that. And I was like eating my breakfast or something, and I just was like, what a profound thought from a 5-year-old, because so many times I struggle with the fact that I feel like my brain is broken. Mm-hmm. Like I will have thoughts. My mind is never going to be as like what it was, you know? And I really struggle with that concept. I feel broken a lot. And it's like I feel like I'll never be who I was. But then, you know, I was, you know, thinking about what she had said, and I'm like, yeah, it gives us the opportunity to be better. Like, we always have that chance when we're broken to become better than we were. And I just really think that that's something that I struggle remembering, you know? I always think something's wrong with me because of what I've been through, and that's actually not the case.
We might have to have Lenny on the podcast. I feel like she's been the main character the last couple of weeks, and we are like learning so much. It's out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Oh, she's so profound.
She really is. She's a special little girl. Yeah. It teaches me, though, that I always want to create that safe space for her so that she can be vulnerable with me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
the best way to do that is to be vulnerable with her in a way that also feels safe, which is it's a really fine balance. But it's hard to have an expectation of your kids while not living that same expectations as an example. And so if I want my kids to be vulnerable with me and turn to me for support, I kind of also need that from them. But as a mom, there's some guilt associated with that. Mm-hmm. But every time I've needed their support and haven't asked for it, they've just shown up and rose to the occasion. And I walk away feeling so loved. So loved. And it also makes me proud because they know how to do this for me. They know how to see people's emotions and comfort the emotions and love people through it. They're going to make a great mom someday. They're going to make a great husband someday. These are really good attributes. And if I was just strong and stoic all the time and never let them see that, I just imagine them not knowing what to do.
Yeah. That's so true. Good.
Yeah.
Well, like always, I feel like we're repetitive at this time in the podcast every week, but I'm just really grateful. I feel like we say that all the time, but I'm really, really thankful, and this is such a great opportunity for, like you said at the beginning, if it hasn't helped anyone, it's helped us. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's really helped me process a lot of things, and just talking it out every week with you has been a huge blessing.
Yeah. I feel like I needed to record today for my own sanity, for my own comfort, for my own human connection. Mm. And so I feel like if there's anybody listening, it's a bonus. Because I just feel I wasn't feeling great today, and I feel like a weight's been lifted off my chest. So thank you to our listeners for that, for giving me a safe space. And thank you for Kenzie for always being that safe space for me. And I encourage all of our listeners out there to find their safe space or find their joy today. Find joy in the hard, even if it's for 5 minutes. We will see you guys next week.
See ya.